Here Stuarts once in glory reigned, and laws for Scotland's weal ordained. But now unroofed their palace stand, their sceptre swayed by other hands. Fallen indeed unto the earth, whence grovelling reptiles take their birth. The injured Stuart line is gone, a race outlandish filled their throne. An idiot race to honour lost, who know them best, despise them most. Those pretty words, my friends, were scratched with a diamond engraver's stencil upon a window pane in Stirling's Wingate Inn, the Golden Lion Hotel, as you might know it better today. That was back in August of 1787. And I'm sure under normal circumstances, the magistrates, the borough bailies, would have called upon yours truly, the happy hangman, to punish the rogue responsible for that wanton act of vandalism. Just this once, though, they decided to let him away with it, just to my disappointment. He was, they said, a man of rising reputation in their little realm. He'd once been a humble farmer's boy in Kyle, and now was celebrated the world over as Scotland's greatest wordsmith, our finest songwriter too. You may have heard of him. Indeed, I'd be roundly ashamed of the lot of you if you had not. Our national poet, Master Robert Burns. And bold Rabbie wrote those lines after visiting her castle. And oh, my friends, his heart, his poet's soul was saddened, sickened beyond belief by what he saw there. What had once been the seat of kings, the noblest fortress in the realm, was now a grubby second-rate army garrison. The great hall, once our nation's parliament, roofless and used by the soldiers as a stable yard. But once upon a time, it divided Highland from Lowland, north from south, and in keeping with its importance in the affairs of state, there's a few grand, dark tales to tell. It was here, for example, in the reign of young King James II, that William, the Earl of Douglas, was invited to sup at the king's private table. Now, this came as a great surprise to the loyal lords and ladies of the court, for it was common knowledge there was no more treacherous dug in all the land than Oor Willie. But the king had sworn upon childhood friendship with the Earl that he would use every resource at his royal disposal to transform that impudent pup into a good and loyal pet of the crown once more. He wined him, he dined him, he entertained him with the finest minstrels and players in the land. And when all else failed, the young king resorted to that last favoured vestige of medieval tact and diplomacy. He stabbed him through the neck 27 times and chucked his corpse through a second-story window. A fate saved these days for particularly pushy double-glazing salesmen, or at the very least, Justin Bieber. His body was buried before the dawn's first light, wrapped in bloody rags, in the garden which now bears his name, the Douglas Garden, named in his honour. And honour, in its own strange way, honour lies at the heart of this tale. A proud man in life, it seems that Douglas's spirit felt itself dishonoured by being deprived the Christian rites of burial. And those that know that ancient building well swear that as sun sets upon his lonely tomb, his wraith rises from the cold, cold ground, demanding the ancient powers that be, the fates and furies of old, that he be allowed revenge upon his bloody murderer. When you consider King James got his head blown off 2 weeks later when one of his cannon backfired at Roxburgh, I don't think it's revenge that Oor Willie needs, just a bigger bucket. It was there, during the reign of that most ill-starred of monarchs, Mary, Queen of Scots, that a humble maidservant prophesied her death by fire within those walls. Now, the name of the poor lass is not known to us. Who, after all, in recalling affairs of state, would bother with something so trivial? Yet in phantom form, she has grown to greatness of sorts, known only by the colour of the robe she wore on the fateful night she died, rescuing her queen from a burning bedchamber, the Green Lady. And though she acted kindly and bravely too in saving her good queen's life, she is said to be feared above all others, for she appears as a portent of doom, death, despair, disaster, despondency, and many other deeply unpleasant things beginning with the letter D. You choose. So be careful, my friend. Should you wander through the Holyrood kirkyard at night? Should you see some emerald phantom lurking in a verdant gloom? Avert your gaze, turn quick way upon your path. Do not look back. For it is said hereabouts that whosoever looks but once into her cold, clear eyes will never more see the dawn. Ooh. It's in the script. But perhaps the strangest of Stirling Castle's phantoms is no princeling born of noble blood, no warrior, no statesman, but a priest, albeit a priest of a most curious kind. John Damien was his name, abbot of Tongland, magician and alchemist to the court of King James IV. He was a boast and a braggart too, swore he possessed ancient arcane powers, spiritual knowledge, magical charms with which he could enchant a giant pair of chicken feather wings. And once strapped to his arms, he told his merry monarch that he would cast himself by mystic means from the castle ramparts, flapping and fluttering his way to his birthplace in distant Paris. Ridiculous, preposterous. He came from Dundee. He was fooling no one. And mind you, English still wasn't his first language. He stood there, upon the ramparts, that early summer morn, those great feathered arms spread wide by his side. He could feel the tiny fronds affixed to his fingertips, fluttering in the early morning breeze. As he closed his eyes, raised his face to feel the warmth of the dawning sun, closed his ears against the mocking laughter of the lords and ladies of the court who came to heap derision upon his lunatic crusade. But he would not hear their words. Slowly at first, with greater force and vigour with each passing moment, he flapped his feathered arms, chanted his charms, intoned his incantations, leapt into the void, crying out to all who would hear that there was no greater power in the universe than that of the human spirit. Unfortunately for Damien, there is. It's called gravity. He looked like an eagle. He flapped like an eagle. He flew like a hairy Highland coo. On the third attempt, you have to give the boy credit for that. He never stopped trying. His life ended as he collided at high velocity with a pigsty and a farm at the foot of the castle rock, whichever way you look at it, is an unpleasant way to go. Now, ghost hunters have long complained that sightings of our fluttering friar have been few and far between over the years. Now, to my mind, they simply neglect one small but vitally important detail. Well, you see, my friends, unlike most of us Stirling spook, John Damien has his own transport. If you look but a few short miles from here to the nearby Falkirk town of Bonnybridge, well, there locals often claim to see strange, unidentified flying objects fleet through the firmament in dead of night. They claim these are evidence that unnatural alien life forms walk among us. Believe me, if you've met anybody from Bonnybridge, they really shouldn't be pointing fingers. But should you visit that place, should you spy something strange in the night sky and be of any doubt as to whether it may be of ectoplasmic or extraterrestrial origin, there is one sure and certain way to tell the truth of the matter. Close your eyes. Turn your face upwards. Breathe deep of the cold night air. Bearing in mind what you landed in, if you smell what I think you smell, either Damien's back in town, or you're more nervous than I thought.